Top5rapwebsite.com. You already know what's going on. Today I want to talk a little bit about the Joe Budden Network, or Joe Budden TV as it's called now again. They changed their name on YouTube. And I've been meaning to make this video for a while now, but I don't like kicking people when they're down, and y'all know my channel is mostly music focused. I'm mostly on here talking about music. I'm rarely on here just talking about people or musicians' personal lives. But the Joe Budden situation has been something that I've been watching closely since he left Everyday Struggle, Complex and Everyday Struggle, because it's kind of been like a business case study. You know, as someone who with an interest in business, I studied business in school. I like monitoring these things and seeing what's going on. So there's a couple points that I want to hit, and I've kind of broken the video apart in the description so you can go to whichever section you'd like, or just start from the beginning and watch all the way through. That's the best way. Firstly, I want to say Joe Budden is a guy who's, over his career, he's displayed resilience and he's displayed perseverance. So he's had way more devastating moments than what's happening right now, and has come back for them. So again, I'm not making this to shit on anybody. It's not what I do. So when I look at the Joe Budden Network, and again, I've been really watching specifically the YouTube channel, because I don't know where their home page is. I don't know where their home base is. We'll get to that later. I've been watching the YouTube and subscribers and the stats, because I have my own YouTube channel. I'm super into the analytics. So I like to see, just what they're doing, because he kind of led the way for creators. He's kind of putting himself up there as like, I am the, basically CEO of creators, you know what I mean? So I've noticed they've been stuck like at 912, 913 subscribers for like almost a month now. And for a channel with already 900,000 plus people on it, to go from 912 to 913 and to have that take about a week and a half, 2 weeks, as of posting, they're still at 913. It's like the more subscribers you have, the easier it is to get more subscribers. Going from 10 subscribers to 100 is tough, because you only have 10 and you gotta brick by brick it. But when you have 100 subscribers, it's a lot easier to get to 200 than it was to get to 100, because you already have 100 people watching now. So to have 900,000 people, almost 1 million people, and you're only getting about 1,000 new subscribers, not even that per week, and you're posting actively. It's not like the channel's inactive. You're posting actively, and then there's a lot of money being poured into this. All the featured images and these are things I noticed, because I do it myself for my website and my YouTube. All the featured images, beautiful. Camera work, beautiful. Sound quality, even the venue where you're hosting, all this has kind of costs to it. It's a costly process to not be gaining subscribers. And if I look at the YouTube, and I know YouTube, I don't know if this is their home base. They changed their name on YouTube from Joe Budden Network to Joe Budden TV. So I would assume that the YouTube means something to them. But I can't imagine that YouTube is their home base when like most of their episodes have like this huge audio portion that's bleeped out. At least 15 to 20% of the episode is muted, because like they're playing music. Like, you gotta stop playing music unless you're on your main platform, wherever that may be. And I'm just kind of ranting here, but maybe your main platform is SoundCloud, and when we listen on SoundCloud we can hear everything. But if your main platform is YouTube and like 10 to 20% of your episode is muted, you just gotta stop playing music during the episode so we can enjoy it. So if I'm looking at the YouTube, and this is the free content, and the free content is not doing great, I can only imagine what the Patreon numbers are looking like. If it's taking a week and a half, 2 weeks to go from 912,000 subscribers to 913,000, if it's taking like 2 weeks to do that on YouTube where it's free, I can only imagine the Patreon numbers are lower, and I can only imagine the Patreon numbers matter because there's some type of contractual agreement, that of which I don't know, but that could be the source of the discontent. So I haven't even mentioned that Rory and Mal, I have not returned to the show as of posting, but I wanted to make this video even before that. Like I was noticing like there's some issues going on here even before I knew there was discontent with the co-hosts on the podcast. Just looking at the YouTube numbers and looking at the new shows. Again, I wanted to do this video a while ago, but I don't want to, cast that bad juju out there. But now other YouTubers are doing it. Other people are reporting on it. Angela Yee, I love you, Angela Yee. She just put, this situation on her rumor mill, on her rumor report on the Breakfast Club. So people are talking about it now. It's not just up to me to speculate. I don't listen to the full podcasts anymore. I kind of skip around. So I was missing the tension between the co-hosts anyways. Whatever tension there was, I wasn't really catching it like other people were anyways. I won't use this video to kind of talk too much about the Rory, Mal, Joe Budden breakup situation, because there was issues before that. What I want to talk about right here is we can't overvalue ourselves, right? We have to correctly value ourselves. We have to realize that the market is in the business market, it's about timing, and it's not about fairness. It's not about none of that. It's about timing, and it's about profitability. When Joe Budden went to Complex, he continued to do his podcast. Smart. Complex may not even know what to do at the time. They probably didn't even care. They probably won't even allow someone to do that today. Like, if you're going to do a podcast while doing our show, we need a bit of that podcast. But at the time, that wasn't the situation. So smart. Joe Budden continued to do the podcast while doing the show. DJ Academics continued streaming while doing Everyday Struggle, which is great. The massive size of Complex, despite how you feel about them, despite how you feel about their writers, the size, the infrastructure, and the resources of Complex to put you in a studio, to have the editing team, to be like, yo, all you gotta do is come in, talk, and leave. All you gotta do is come in at this time, talk, and leave. Everything else is handled. And for a guy like me, that means a lot, because I'm a guy that preps the camera, shoots the shit. If there's an issue during, I gotta go fix it. I'm editing, I'm publishing, and I'm doing the fucking the featured images on Photoshop. I'm doing everything. So for a company to come in and be like, yo, all you gotta do is come in and then just do your album review. Just talk to the camera. We'll handle the rest. Bruh, that takes like 80% of what it takes to do this out. Like, now I got so much extra time. So I think for Joe, I don't think he fully gave Complex credit for their role in his podcast's growth, because Complex is this huge thing, and it allows you to, it's bringing so much more attention to your name, which is bringing it to your podcast. Joe Budden was on Everyday Struggle every single weekday for X amount of months/years. And that helped feed his podcast, which allowed him to get that Spotify deal. If you're not on Complex Everyday Struggle, if Complex doesn't have you there, your podcast may not be valued at what it was to get that initial Spotify deal. So instead of leaving Complex, burning the bridge and leaving with a bird, flipping the bird, we maybe could have left a little bit more amicably. I don't know, or at least acknowledge, like, yeah, Complex helped us out a lot. The Spotify deal wouldn't have, your numbers were what they were partially because of Complex. You were on Complex every day, and that was helping you, which allowed you to get the Spotify deal. And it's like the same thing happened with Spotify. He's on Spotify, and Spotify is bringing you so many more viewers. Even myself, like, I knew what the Joe Budden podcast was. I didn't watch it though. Like, I would say 2017, 2018, if I'm getting the dates correct. I knew what it was. I never watched the full episode. There's just no reason. Like, I don't particularly care what Joe Budden has to say about things. But when the podcast came to Spotify, I was already a Spotify listener. I was already a premium subscription. So when this podcast came to Spotify, it just made it that much more easier for me to listen. It was nothing for me to just turn the Joe Budden podcast on and listen. And probably for an entire year, I've listened to probably every single episode of the Joe Budden podcast, just because it was so convenient. Like, I can go to work. Like, I'm at work anyways, listening to music anyways. Now it's the same app. Like, I just type in Joe Budden and just go straight to his podcast, I can listen to all of it. I don't think Joe Budden truly gave Spotify credit again for how much they helped him. It was mutual, because he helped them develop their podcast infrastructure in a way, but they helped him. And I go and listen to the old Joe Budden podcast episodes, and he's talking about how it's just a situation of overvaluing yourself. It happens in the stock market, it happens in crypto, overvaluing. He's saying he's bringing in 9 figures, he's saying this and that, but then months later, when you pull the curtains back and you're no longer on Spotify, like, you're bringing in 9 figures, you're bringing in millions of listeners. Okay, maybe that's true, but maybe some of that is true because of what Spotify is putting into it. Because when you leave Spotify, I don't know the last time the Joe Budden TV on YouTube, I don't know the last time that channel had a 1 million view video. So it certainly wasn't that the podcast was bringing in millions of views and 9 figures. 9 figures is hundreds of millions of dollars. So that wasn't the case. The podcast doesn't even get 1 million views on its own, on YouTube. So that wasn't the case. And I doubt that 9 figures are coming in to Patreon from the subscriptions. I doubt 8 figures. I doubt 6 figures are coming in to Patreon. So it wasn't that the Joe Budden podcast on Spotify was bringing this company so much value, and we're running this thing, and y'all need to be giving us more respect. And it's like, shouldn't even be compared to Joe Rogan's podcast, which is one name that was repeated often during this time. Joe Rogan, he was doing his deal also with Spotify around this time. Joe Rogan is a guy who gets 1 million views on anything. Everything on YouTube from Joe Rogan has 1 million views. And the podcasts are different. Joe Rogan's is based on interviewing people. Joe Budden's is based on just kind of talking amongst people. But it doesn't matter who Joe Rogan interviews. Joe Rogan has like millions of people who are following his podcast just to hear him. It doesn't matter who he's interviewing, it's getting 1 million. Now, if it's someone crazy like Elon Musk or Kanye West, yeah, that's going to do crazy numbers, but everything's getting 1 million. So yeah, that's just one part. And I'll break this into parts because it's really a parts type thing.